Hey, in today's video, we're gonna go over evolution and natural selection. And if you think I sound like I'm in a hurry, it's because I already recorded this, but then my microphone broke, so it's a minor setback, major setback, but it's alright. I'll live, don't worry. You can help if you just give me a billion subscribers. Just a quick b b b b. Okay, all right. So we're gonna learn about evolution, natural selection, fossils, anatomy, and DNA, and convergent and divergent evolution. Oh, so I'm tired. And our central question we're going to try answer is how do selective pressures filter existing variations to produce adaptations within a population? Quick apology, but Jerry did not do his job well, so this slide has many missed figures. I don't know. He hasn't been to work in a while. Actually, my whole team hasn't been to work in a while. I'm the only one in the office right now. Kind of lonely. Okay, see, as you can see, yeah. But okay, so first you need to learn about Darwin. And Charles Darwin observed that species, specifically finches, changed over time due to environmental pressures. And he talked about descent with modifications, that species share common ancestors but accumulate differences over many generations that leads to diversification. So Charles Darwin, the thing you're gonna learn about him in school is that he went to the Galapagos Islands. It's fun saying Galapagos, like Galapagos. But he went to the Galapagos Islands to study finches. And one year he tagged the finches so he can keep track of all of them. And then the next year he came back and looked at the same finches and realized they changed due to due to natural selection. Because sometimes some of the finches had big beaks, some other had small, some had sharp, some had blunt beaks. But the only one that survived was the ones that fit the environment the best. Let's say they were eating nuts on the island, but the only way to crack it open was to have a sharp beak. Or let's say they were trying to eat worms out of a tree and they can only eat it with small beaks. So only those finches that have those specific traits would survive. And that's called natural selection. And conditions for natural selection could be variation, which is heritable differences between existing in a population. That could be because of mutations or meiosis. Another thing could be overproduction, which means there's more offsprings than the environment can support. I saw it. I saw a TikTok saying that like a couple of days ago was like the day. Hold on, let me try to find the video. Was the day we use up all our natural resources that the Earth produces in a year, which is called like Overshoot Day. I'm not sure if that's real, but isn't that crazy already? We still have 5 months, so the rest of the year, that means we're spending more than the environment can produce. That's interesting. Very interesting. But we're gonna go over selective pressures. And if you wanted to see this figure, uh, blame Jerry. Okay, so environmental factors select for specific phenotypes. And in this model that was supposed to be put, pocket mice on dark lava rocks evolved darker fur color for generations to avoid predation. And fitness is actually the measure that scientists use to measure reproductive success. And a higher fitness would equal leaving more viable offspring for the next generation. So now we're gonna go for evidence for evolution. because scientists like debate whether evolution is an actual thing, and this is just evidence of what they think of the things that. My email is full. What the? Sorry. I'm just like distracted, but yeah. Oh my god, bro. Okay, so evidence for evolution. So first off, we have fossil records. So fossil records provide a chronological log of species, the species changes, and transitional fossils show intermediate states between ancestral and modern forms. And what you have to, a term that I've never learned, but take it. Can we just move on from my pronunciations? But tic tac lick rose, which is a fish pod that represents the transition from aquatic life to land dwelling tetrapods. As you can see here, there's an evolutionary tree. I think that's a fishy, and that looks like a dragon bird. No, I forgot. Lizard. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna. Oh, Jerry actually put in a graph. This is a nice graph. But comparative anatomy, we can see the similarities, especially here. This is like the wrist for each one, and then they branch off into fingers. Like some are separated, like the humans. Some are just wings, and we're gonna have to know homologous, homologous structures which are similar anatomy due to common ancestry, even if functional functions differ, like whale fins and human arms. Like whale fins need to push water, human arms need to grab food for my biggie mouth, but analogous structures are similar functions due to similar pressures, which is convergent evolution, not ancestry. Like bird wings and insect wings, like even though they do basically the same thing, they do not come from a common ancestor. Looking at molecular homology, we see that the most precise evidence for evolution is found in DNA and protein sequences, and fewer differences indicate a more recent common ancestor. Like, let's compare humans and chimpanzees. They have 0 amino acid differences in cytochrome C. So that means the common ancestor was around 6 million years. Evolution takes a while. But when we're looking at humans versus monkeys, specifically rhesus monkeys, they have one difference, and they have a longer time of divergence of 25 million years. And we have humans and dogs, which has 11 differences, which makes it even longer at 90 million years. Can we talk about Jerry's putting like uneven slides? Is that like the design, or is it? I don't know. I'm tired. um. Okay. Uh. So we need to know 3 different types of selection: directional, right here, stabilizing, right here, and disruptive, right here. So directional favors one extreme phenotype, like antibiotic resistance. Stabilizing favors intermediate forms, acting against extremes like human birth weight. And disruptive favors both extremes, but potentially leading to speciation. And you can see examples on the graph right here. Pause the video if you want to read it. I'm a little too lazy to read it right now, so you know what a good teacher I am. I know. Okay, so now we gotta talk about genetic drift, which is random chance. And the idea you have to understand is the bottleneck effect, which is a sudden environmental change that drastically reduces the population size, and then the survivor genes pool is no longer represented in the original population. So here's a quick figure of the bottleneck effect. It's not literally a bottleneck effect, but this is basically what happens, where you have an original population and then you have an environmental disaster or change, and that only gives a tiny bit of the original population to survive. And these will pass on their genes because they survived. But that would be due to random chance and not because of like like survival adaptations, or that could play a role, but it's really just random chance when there's a natural disaster that happens. Next, we have to understand the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, which is a mathematical model describing a non-evolving population. And deviations from this model indicates that evolution is occurring. And the requirements for this is really just theoretical, because in a population, not all of these are really gonna be true. So something you just really learn in the classroom, and something that you really should know. I can go over it more in depth on actual Hardy-Weinberg questions, maybe closer to the AP exam, but there's a figure right here about the Hardy-Weinberg. You can look at it. I don't want to look at it, but uh, you can you can look at it. Okay, so just don't look at this. Don't look at this. Stop looking. I know you're looking down. Stop looking. But we're gonna look at a practice problem. So, scenario antibiotic resistance. So, a population of bacteria is exposed to penicillin. After 48 hours, 99% of the bacteria are dead, but 1% have survived and are rapidly multiplying. Describe the mode of selection and the source of the resistance. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about it. Well, you probably only get like 30 seconds on the AP exam, so a minute or two, I don't know. I would tell a story, but honestly, I can't think of one right now. Life. Okay, so the solution you should have gotten is directional selection, which is the resistance. The direction. Oh, my bad. And you should have gotten directional selection, and the resistance originated from a random mutation that existed before the antibiotic was applied. So we're gonna move on to the conclusion about how natural selection overview acts on phenotypes, but evolution occurs on genotypes. Say anything else important? And adaptation is an ongoing process relative to a changing environment. Doesn't happen to one animal, but the whole species. And then we have this cool quote: "Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution," by T. Dobzhansky. Yeah. So here's the image sources where I got my images. You can go check them out if you want. It's pretty chill. Like the first two where Jury didn't put the images, but it's fine if you can barely hear my voice. Ah, I should give a TED talk one day. But anyways, I hope you have a good day. Hope you learned something. Can you get me to 1 billion subscribers? I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.